Hi, my name is Susan. I'm reviewing a clone of. I'm reviewing the this. I'm reviewing this actually, the D-R35Plus. So this one that looks like this, and you'll notice in the top it says Games Console, and it has like a good next to the games, which looks very similar to this game console. Very generically named this thing. This thing kicks ass. The R36S. It's the king of budget handhelds. I love it to death. But that's not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about a clone of it, uh, which is this one. Um, so this clone is decent. I like it, but I don't like it as much as this one, as the R36S. The R36S I recommend more, and they're about the same price, which is cheap, under $50. I'm talking like $40. Maybe you get a coupon and get it for 30 or 28 or something like that. But the one I'm talking about today, you hold the power button in the top left for a few seconds, and the boot screen looks like this. Um, this one has the distinctive three buttons in the middle. Um, by the power light, the three buttons in the middle, it looks like that. This one looks like this. And the menus, you'll see it's got name, that's arcade games, uh, and Sega Genesis, Super Famicom is Super Nintendo, uh, Nintendo Entertainment System, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, PlayStation 1. The picture is wrong. That should be a PlayStation 1 picture. Some more crap, Neo Geo. This is a fun function on it. Last played, so you can go into this and it'll bring up a list of the last 9 games that you played. That's really handy. It automatically remembers those. So, that's really, really handy when you've got a lot of games and it takes a long time to scroll through the games to find the game that you want. So the last played function is really handy. Also, really handy on this thing. Well, it has favorites just like the R36S, but you probably don't need it because you've also got the search function. The search function, you go into, let's say you hit that, and let's type in. Whoops. Let's type in. Let's say Lunar. Lunar. There is no space bar that I can see, so you can type in one word of the name, and you'll see there. It'll go Lunar Ball, Lunar Pool Europe, Lunar Pool USA, blah 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 blah. Lunar Legend J, Lunar Legend U for United States. Uh, let's go United States for Lunar Legend, and that's how quick it loads up. It's pretty quick. Let me hit start to get past some of these menus, or splash screens or whatever you call them. But loads the game up right away, and then there you go. Um, Lunar is a very fantastic game. I highly recommend. By the way, it's a great RPG. Um, uh, this thing has a little bit more of duplicates of games. Language duplicates. Like you'll have the Japanese version and the U.S. version, so it has a little bit more of that. It has compared to the R36S, it has a little bit. Uh, a little bit. Well, let me think what else about it. It doesn't have the N64 games or the PSP games that came built in on my R36S, but it does have the. And again, I'm trying to talk about the DR35 Plus, but since this is a clone of this, it's hard not to talk about this. You know, um, God, I love this game. This game is so great. Um, uh, Oh, and just like the R36S, uh, just like the R36S, you hit start and select to exit out, and you'll see that it's got a save state menu right there in the exit out menu. So I'm going to exit out. I'm not going to do save states, but the user interface is a little bit better on this one than the R36S. So if you bought this one instead of the R36S, you didn't get ripped off. You didn't buy a piece of crap. This thing is pretty good. I've been playing with it all day, and it's got a ton of games, like over 15,000. This thing has about 19,000 games. It's just a lot more of them are duplicates, uh, language duplicates. Like where you've got the Japanese version and the U.S. version, and you might have the European version. That happens a lot more often on this one, and it has more NES games. The R36S, the one I bought in July of 2024, had 500 NES games. This one has a little bit more NES games. So some more obscure titles. Uh, and you've got the search function, which makes them easy to find. So this one's a little bit less powerful, it feels like, because I loaded up Tekken 3 for the PlayStation on both. And I feel like Tekken 3 performs a little bit better on the R36S than it does on the D-R35Plus on this one. On this one, the clone, it had just a little bit of frame rate drop, a little bit of slowdown. It was fun, it was playable, but I prefer the R36S as the original, as opposed to this clone. This clone has a better user interface and a better menu, and the battery life indicator is also more accurate. It seems to be made by a different manufacturer trying to do the exact same thing, and they did pretty close. And actually, the D-pad diagonals feel a little bit better on this one. It's hard to do a Hadouken, that semicircle, down, right, forward on the R36S. It's hard to do that move really, really well, as smoothly as the arcade or the home console. But on this one, this feels like doing it on the home console. I mean, obviously a joystick is going to be king, like in the arcade. It was always better with the arcade joystick. But for a handheld, yeah, this is pretty good. This is a pretty good thing. I'm gonna try to keep this review short, but as relatively, but yeah, I think this thing is good. If you bought it, you did buy a good purchase for a good price. It's a good value. Um, I weep for the Chinese workers who probably had to work their butts off for very little pay to push this thing out, but that's capitalism for you. Um, and it's got it would take you a long time to get all the games, uh, to just search them all, to get them onto this thing, and it's a good operating system. Um, but I do like the R36S a little bit better because I like those PlayStation Portable and N64 games, and I like my PlayStation games to be as smooth as butter. And this is more like, you know, the some of the games have a little bit more slowdown, and it doesn't have those N64 or PlayStation Portable games on the pre-built in. And also, there's a little bit more of a community for this one, more of a fan base of people telling you on Reddit, on the subreddit for the R36S, how to maximize and get the most out of it, and really make it into a hobby. Um, Imagine a hobby where the entry point is like a $40 handheld, and there have been people who bought these things for cheaper than $40. They got them on sale, or there was some special sale on AliExpress or Temu where they're clearing out some stock to put out a new one. And by the way, this review is for August of 2024, because these things, both of them, I'm sure, change so often. They change so often. You know what I mean? They clear out the stock and they'll make little tweaks to it. The R36S that I got, I was looking at reviews from 8 months earlier, and the one that I had, there was stuff that was said about it that wasn't true about this one anymore, with its 15,000 games and some of the things like the quick save is. Well, let me turn that off again. The quick save and exit is just the top right button. It's very simple on the R36S on the one I got, and it's different than the one that came out at the very beginning 8 months ago. And I'm sure that'll be the same for this thing. This thing went to sleep on me, didn't it? Okay, there it goes. It woke up. But yeah, it's a good system. Not as good as the R36S in my opinion, but hey, it's one number lower. It's D-R35 plus, so it's got a 35 instead of a 36. So it makes sense, doesn't it? That it's not quite as good, but it's good. Uh, it's good. I mean, it's a good purchase, um, and it makes a great gift. It's a great handheld. I still think the R36S is the king of handhelds, but this thing is good. All right, I'm gonna stop there because this review has gone on long enough, and I'm repeating myself. But this one again, I'm talking about is the DR35 Plus, which is put out by Games Good Console, Games plural console, not Game Console R36S. So this one's the clone. This clone is a good clone of a piracy king. Uh, this is the pirate king. This is the clone of the pirate king. Uh, Anyway, that's my review of it, and I am reviewing it from the point of view of someone living in a homeless shelter. So, yeah, I don't know what to say other than that. You know, I'm not one of those techie reviews that goes and talks about the chipset and stuff like that. That'll all be outdated information in 6 months because there'll be a new one of these out by then. But this is the review for August of 2024 for these devices. All right, thank you very much. Until next time or next whenever, take care.